In this demonstration, we will show how banks and other financial institutions can use DataWalk to efficiently investigate a financial fraud scheme and analyze synthetic identities. DataWalk has the ability to quickly and easily import and automatically link data from many different sources, and the data in the consolidated repository is visualized here in the DataWalk Universe Viewer. Each icon represents a dataset that may be generated using data from multiple sources. Though the DataWalk system can easily scale to billions of records, in this example we have loaded a small dataset of just a few million records. This data model is easily customized for each implementation and can be easily modified as desired. In this case, data has been imported from transaction systems, the transaction monitoring system, the case management system, and Facebook. We've also imported previous SARs and system log data, which includes IP addresses associated with website visits and transactions. We will now examine customers associated specifically with alerts triggered by accounts that were set up in the last 60 days, into which cash deposits of $1,000 were then made within a couple days of the account being opened. Such a pattern could possibly indicate fraudsters who are depositing cash to build up credit lines. On DataWalk's Universe Viewer, we see 4 accounts matching these criteria. We review details of these accounts, and we see that they are owned by 4 different people and were owned on the same day. We see that they are related with 4 individuals and 1 company, and 4 transactions, which are the 4 cash deposits. We can view on a map where these cash deposits were made, and we see that 4 were made in the San Francisco Bay Area. Now we also want to review where these accounts were set up. We see that 3 of the 4 were set up in Houston, and 1 was set up in Palo Alto, California. We note that this location is the same branch where $1,000 was previously deposited. On the Universe Viewer, we see all transactions associated with these accounts. By reviewing transactions, we see that these accounts were being used for normal purchases. We also review the products data set, and it shows that a $5,000 credit line was opened for each account. This is additional evidence that we may be seeing a fraud scheme. Now we want to see any shared attributes between these 4 individuals, so we view these customers on a network graph. We immediately see objects and shared attributes such as social security numbers and phones. We can also extend this cluster by adding additional connections, specifically accounts, and the IP address used with the initial login. Now we see different accounts were accessed from one IP address. For extending our investigation, we add new connections to the IP address, specifically accounts. We change our layout to a map view, and we see that these were set up in several specific locations. The location of this IP address is also in Palo Alto, the same place where the 4th account was set up and cash was deposited. On the Universe Viewer, we set the accounts as our perspective to get a 360-degree view of connected data. When we go to Products, we see that these accounts have a credit line opened. Most of them have overdue balances, and others were acting as good customers, at least for now. We also see sequential increases in the value of credit lines. We now view money flows associated with these accounts, and then we'll use time series analysis to see how flows changed over time. We see that money flowed around these accounts to build credit lines. This procedure took roughly 60 days, and we can see several fraudsters have pulled out $60,000 or more, totaling over $300,000 in losses. We also see that 3 accounts in this scheme have no credit line opened yet, so the bank can take immediate action to block any transactions, credits, or credit procedures on these accounts. We'd next like to see if we can identify the key player in this fraud scheme. Palo Alto is a central location of this scheme, so we consider whether the individual who set up the account in Palo Alto may be a real beneficiary. We now extend our investigation by adding accounts and individuals, and we see Carol Wonga is on an account owned by Mick Adams, and by adding previous SARs, we see 2 SARs are related with this account. With all this information, we now have evidence for filing SARs and contacting law enforcement. With this demonstration, we have shown how analysts and investigators can utilize DataWalk's ability to provide a unified view of data from disparate sources to quickly look at an alert and determine that the account is most likely synthetic. The investigator is also able to alert supervisors that other suspicious accounts should be closely monitored. Finally, the bank now has a set of suspicious attributes to add to the screening watch list for new accounts to ensure that this particular scheme can cause no further damage.